got a chance to do one thing that every team in the country can't do. We got a chance to step up, man. We got a chance to step on the ledge, you know what I mean? And to me, I think it's a free fall. To be elite, you got to take a free fall. That means you can't be afraid to go to the edge. And coach said, jump. You said, how far, coach? Where you want me to go? Every guy got a chance to do that today. If you're elite, grab somebody today. Take him with you. There's no more average in this program. There's no more average in this program.
Matt Rhule might just be ahead of schedule in his second year at Nebraska, but will this season prove to be true with that ahead of schedule talk that you get around the Nebraska fan base? Hi, everybody. I am Colin Bastrigo, your host here at Bash's College Football Show. You can find me on some other platforms like TikTok. It's linked down in the description, along with my Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and the Twitch that I live stream on when I tape these videos where we can interact live. I would also ask that you guys do comment and like down below, because those type of interactions is what's going to help me grow with the algorithm set through YouTube. And I also ask too that if you come back here, if you keep finding my videos and you like them, please subscribe to help boost and share my content going forward. But enough self-advertising right there. We are here to talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And today we're going to talk about this roster, what they lost from last year and what they're going to have this year. Are they going to upgrade? Are they going to downgrade? What are we looking like right here for Nebraska in 2024? Well, you got to start by talking about key players they lost to the NFL, and they lost a lot off an elite defense. Now, the only notable player I felt like they lost on offense was the tight end Thomas Fedone, that I think is definitely going to be replaceable for sure. No slide on him. He was a solid player, but I think that he's definitely going to be replaceable. The guys that are going to be a little bit harder to replace is the edge guy and MJ Sherman. Then you get the two interior linebackers and Garrett Nelson and Luke Reamer, who are going to be very hard to replace, as they were really good staples on that elite defense, really a close to elite defense last year. Just truth being told right there. In the secondary, Tyreek Johnson is a corner that's definitely going to be missed. And then two safeties that Nebraska has to replace, and Omar Brown and Corey Collier Jr. Those are going to be guys that they weren't necessarily like specifically at the safety position the most elite players, but they were good players. And losing that type of experience and production, that is definitely going to be something that's going to be noticed. Now, when you talk about what transferred out, as we're talking about what leaves the program, Nebraska didn't have too much notable leave. I think that those two quarterbacks were free to go, in Jeff Sims and Chuba Purdy. And I think that one that they would like to maybe have back, but they're fine with walking, I guess, is Taman Lineham going off to Pittsburgh. I think that that's the one maybe that they would have liked to keep around for depth at the position for sure. But transferring in, you can't talk about the transfer portal without talking about the impact that they had. It's a good class coming in for them, starting with Isaiah Nayer, who was a big star in the transfer portal of 2022, and then he got hurt right before his inaugural season at Texas. And last year, up and down when it came to being on the field, and just didn't pan out the way that a lot of people expected. Well, he's coming into Nebraska for a little bit of redemption and maybe his final year of eligibility. Can't really tell anymore, but that's what I'm guessing. And then Jamal Banks from Wake Forest is also coming in, and a pretty solid, super talented player out of Wake Forest at the wide receiver position. The offensive transfer portal is rounded up by Micah Maskua coming in from Florida, who's a depth piece on the offensive line. Linebacker Stephon Thompson is also a depth piece at that position, as I do not expect him to start. And I do apologize here. I said earlier in the video, I'm correcting myself in the video, and I'm letting this roll because why not? MJ Sherman is coming back. I don't know why I had it listed that he wasn't. MJ Sherman is coming back, which is big for them. One of the big key guys coming back. Him and John Bullock are going to be the stars of this defense. Those guys are the next guys up, with Luke Reamer and Garrett Nelson gone. That I got right at least. But then you get, anyway, back to the transfer portal after Stephon. You get Bly Hill coming in from St. Francis, Pennsylvania. He's going to be one that probably starts. A small school kid that has a lot of really, really good tools. We talked about Aiden Garnes a couple videos ago with West Virginia, pardon me. But this kid, though I don't think he's as elite, he's still got that type of talent, and he's going to start for Nebraska this year. Also adding depth at the running back position with Dante Dowdle coming in from Oregon. That's pretty decent just for the position. Just wanted to note that real quick. Now, let's talk about the guys coming back. I mean, Henrik Harburg is going to come back, but he's going to probably back up Dylan Raiola, as the talk around is that the freshman is going to start at the quarterback position. And then you get two cornerstones on your offensive line coming back with Turner Corcoran. And also, I hope I said that right. I think it's Corcoran. Correct me if I said that wrong, though. And then Bryce Berhart, they're both going to be coming back. Bryce Bernhardt is a really good player as well. He's one that's definitely a little bit more versatile, but those two are probably going to be your staples at tackle. And Turner Corcoran is probably going to play center this year, kick to the inside like that. Then on the defensive side, it's not like they don't have anything coming back. Jamari Butler is back from last year, a really good player. Nash Hutmacher is also back. And then you get what I talked about with John Bullock and my mistake in my notes. MJ Sherman is back. I don't know why. Again, on the notes, I had him written down as leaving. Tommy Hill and Malcolm Hartzog are both going to be back at the cornerback spot, which will be big for the depth of this team. And then finally, Isaac Gifford. He's going to be back. He's going to be back. I keep tripping over my words, but it is what it is here. But he's going to be back at the safety position, which is big. He was their best safety last year, in my opinion. I think he's definitely a playmaker for this defense, and he's going to be one that is definitely they're going to be thankful that he's there. So overall, I still think this defense is going to be pretty dang good with Tony White leading the charge. And I think that this offense has a lot of talent to go off of. A couple guys that I didn't mention. I already mentioned the two transfer guys, but young players like Jalen Lloyd, and then the freshman Ja'Cory Barney getting a lot of hype. Malachi Coleman getting a lot of hype as a sophomore. These guys are expected to step up a little bit and make that wide receiver position group a lot more solidified with those two transfers coming in. So with that being said, that's the breakdown of what Nebraska has. We're going to get to these schedule predictions right away and get this video all done. We're going to start with a win against UTEP. I think nobody's really doubting that they are going to be able to go and beat UTEP at home. But this Colorado game, I think, is going to be spectacular. No, I don't think Colorado is going to be an amazing team. I think they're talented, and I think they're a better version of what they had last year. It's going to be a lot tighter than the one that they played out at Colorado last year in Boulder. But I still think Nebraska is going to lose. A lot of people are going to take that as a big slight. I think people are writing out the fact that they're going to go into that Ohio State game 7-0, and we'll talk about the road ahead after this. But I just think it won't be that easy. I think this is going to be something that takes a little bit more time for specifically this offense to get in a rhythm. And I think Dylan Raiola is going to get smacked in the face a little bit against some tougher competition at points this season. I do think that Nebraska does beat Northern Iowa pretty handily, even though Northern Iowa has given the FBS teams problems in the past. Then we move on to a little bit of a Big Ten stretch here, a Friday night game at home against Illinois. It's going to be rocking out there in Nebraska. If you saw my Illinois preview, you saw my thoughts on this. I just think Nebraska is a better team. They're getting them at home on a Friday night in which all the kids are going to be out partying, going crazy in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm taking Nebraska to win that game pretty easily. At Purdue, you get that extra day to prepare. I think this is going to be potentially a tough trip for them, but I do think that they're going to pull out the win here, even though I think Purdue has some potential this year to maybe shock a team or two. Rutgers, I think they win against Rutgers, even though Rutgers is a pretty solid team. I just don't think that Rutgers is going on the road in their first really big road test and I don't think they're winning the game. Now, good defense travels, and I think Rutgers is going to have a good defense. Run games travel. So if this goes the other way, I wouldn't be surprised. But if Nebraska loses this game, they're not having the season that this fan base was really expecting them to have. But they're getting back-to-back road trips with Indiana and Ohio State. I think they beat Indiana, though I think Indiana is going to be heading in the right direction with Kurt Cinetti over there. I think that they lose on the road to Ohio State, and I think they lose pretty handily. Look, for anybody in the comment section being like, you're underestimating Nebraska, you're hating on Nebraska, whatever. I'm looking at this roster specifically on offense. I think they're a year away on offense to be able to compete with the big dogs like this, to the point where I think that a team like Colorado can catch them early and be able to beat them. the youth of this offense, specifically at the skill position, including the quarterback position, that is what's going to hurt them. And even guys like Jamal Banks coming in and Isaiah Nair. Nair has not seen the field much in the last 2 football seasons. And Banks, though he's a good player, he's going to be playing a little bit higher level of defenses than he did at Wake Forest. Now, I think they come back and I think they beat UCLA. UCLA is in a messy situation right now. I'm not high on them. I've talked to Tyler over at Loudmouth Sports. He's not high on them either. We're giving that as a win for Nebraska. Now, off of a bye, I think they go to the Coliseum and lose at USC. I think this is going to be an incredible game. I think this potentially could be one of Dylan Raiola's breakout games, but this one's going to go down to the wire with great offense on both sides, and I think USC's just got more firepower at the end of the day. Though Nebraska's defense is really, really good, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to contain this Lincoln Riley attack, and I think this USC defense, I'm taking a gamble and a roll of the dice, and you'll see it when I preview USC. I think USC is just going to be slightly better enough on defense that they're going to be able to win games like this, even if it's a little bit more of a shootout than what they'd want. I think they come back at home and they lose to Wisconsin. This is a tough 3-game stretch right here, and I think Wisconsin's a really good team who's going to be peaking a little bit later, especially with a really good coach, and I think they lose a second straight, dropping their 4th game before beating Iowa in the final game of the year on Black Friday. I think that Iowa is a decent team, but I think that they, just like a lot of other Western schools like Wisconsin and Nebraska, quite honestly, are going to need to get used to playing week in and week out with these big dogs. And Iowa, I'm not sure if their defense is going to be as suffocating as they had been specifically last year. So you saw the Iowa preview. I'm not very high on Iowa this year. I think Nebraska goes and beats them in Iowa City, which is not a popular pick, especially for those in Iowa City. But I'm here for the heat. It is what it is. These are just predictions at the end of the day. So comment down below what you think Nebraska is going to do and what team I should do next. But for next time, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video.